presentation. Okay. Hey, welcome to Brave Hearts, Bold Actions, Young Changemakers Shaping Our Future. This webinar is in collaboration between Ashoka Southeast Asia and PLAN International Indonesia. So just a short backgrounder on who we are. PLAN International is an independent development and humanitarian organization that advances children's rights and equality for girls. PLAN International strives for a just world, working together with children, young people, supporters, and partners. And then it's also in collaboration with Ashoka. So founded in 1980, Ashoka has created the first and largest professional network that supports leading social entrepreneurs around the world, with over 3,500 Ashoka fellows from 93 countries. Ashoka envisions an everyone a change maker world where each individual has the freedom, confidence, and societal support to address any social problem and drive change. So we were really, when we were making this event, we were really motivated to invite 3 young change makers from Indonesia and the Philippines and collaborate because we are nearing actually very important days. So 3 days from now, Indonesia is actually celebrating its National Children's Day with the tagline, #Brave because we care. Children become change makers in voicing out their rights. And in a few weeks, we will also be celebrating International Youth Day on August 12th. So why do we have all these observances and holidays for the youth, right? I think it's super important, especially for Southeast Asia, because according to the ASEAN, the organization, 213 million youth live in Southeast Asia, and more than half of that population is under 30 years old. And those are big numbers, right? But the sad thing is, there are also big problems attached to that. You can think of the state of education, health, and even basic rights. And you'll hear more from our speakers as well. And so with these complex problems that are happening, it is more and more important that young people themselves lead the change that they want to see, especially because they already have the power to do so. So to kick off this event and to tell us more about the power of young change makers, I would like to give the floor to Nani Zulminarni, the regional leader for Ashoka Southeast Asia. So Nani is also an Ashoka Fellow, and through her organization, PAKA, she built critical awareness, economic capabilities, and leadership skills within the most marginalized women in Indonesia. Her woman-headed family movement has spread to more than 1,500 villages. Hello, Ibu Nani.
Thank you, Nico. Good evening, young leaders and change makers. On behalf of Ashoka, I would like to warm welcome you to Ashoka Gaharu Village Stations, Brave Hearts, Bold Actions, Young Change Makers Shaping Our Future, organized by Ashoka South East Asia in collaboration with PLAN International Indonesia. This is to celebrate National Children's Days of Indonesia on July 23rd and also welcoming the International Youth Day in August. The theme of this year, National Children's Day, is Indonesian Children Rise and Move Forward Together for a Long Impact. On the tagline, #Brave because we care, children become change-making in voicing out their rights. This term is very critical and important. If we look at the composition of world populations, 1/3 or around 2.6 billion is composed of young people under 20 years old or Z generations. And the other 1/3, 2.3 billion, is young adult, 20 to 39 years old, millennial generations. In the fast changing world, which remarks by advancements of information and technology and the extreme climate change that create huge opportunities and at the same time challenges for humankind and natures, we more than ever need to collaborate among differences, including different ethnics, nation, gender, and ages. We might have been trained quite sometimes to collaborate among other differences, but not so much on age differences. Tradition and practices have caused some gap among generations, particularly in shaping the social political context for everyone, especially for young people. The world needs to continue to make young people in charge in many aspects of life, but also need to involve the whole ecosystem that support young people to grow their leadership and making change. The greater community of parents, teachers, media, policymakers, and anyone who care about the future of the society can learn more from the ambition of young people and their ability to create change, the better we can respond to the world challenges and making change for good of all. This is a safe space for free conversation and sharing about the power of young people to take leadership, solve problems, and making change for their communities and the natural world with brave hearts and bold action, of course. We hope through Kampung Pembaharu in Indonesia and Gubatan in the Philippines, as well as PLAN communities, this safe space will continue and furthermore helping young leaders and change makers shaping our future. Before closing, on behalf of Ashoka family, I would like to thank to the speakers, Kinan T, filmmakers and founders, Dayak Documentary Foundations, Ashoka and Changemakers, and Irene R, founder, I'm Gina, and Yoris Wutun, the Global Youth Panel, PLAN International for Education in Emergency. I also would like to congratulate and give high appreciation to the youth core team of Ashoka South East Asia, Ara, Irene, and Nico, and PLAN International Indonesia team for organizing these existing sessions, and of course, the whole team who support this event. Okay, happy Children's Day for Indonesia, and thank you for your participation and have great conversations. Back to you, Nico.
Thank you, Hunani. What a great opening message for us to be inspired for this session. So let's get right to it. So I'm so excited to be introducing these three amazing young people who are here today to inspire us that the power of young people can be stronger than problems. Sorry, can we keep our mics on mute if you're not intending to speak? Thank you. Okay. So first off, we have Kinan. Kinan was raised in a mixed cultural environment influenced by both the urban and rural background of his parents. As he grew up, Kinan took on the role of a translator for foreigners who came to his village, Sungay Utik. Kinan was intrigued by their interest in learning about local values and their efforts in preserving the forests. This awareness fueled Kinan's passion for sharing indigenous knowledge with the world through documentary videos. At the age of 13, Kinan embarked on his filmmaking journey by creating his first movie, Mali Umay, which was later screened at the Bali International Indigenous Film Festival. This documentary also served as a supporting material for the Dayak Iban community to gain their full rights to the forest under the customary forest decree in 2019. Currently, Kinan and his team are working on a film titled Sounds of the Forest, which is set to be produced by Netflix. Awesome. Welcome, Kinan.
Thank you, Nico. It's so good to be here.
Great. So our second panelist is Ariane. Participating with different science clubs in the Philippines made Ariane realize how many communities lack the access to resources about science and technology. This has driven her to share her learnings and experience with the municipality of Compostela, a disaster-prone and often overlooked region, and allow the youth to appreciate and act for the environment. Ariane is the creator of the app I Am Gina, which uses artificial intelligence to classify wastes according to the following: biodegradable, residual, and special. It targets waste segregation and a habitual system for students inside the school. And aside from this, she has also created the Municipal Science Camp, a local program for the environment involving the youth of Compostela. This aims to deliver climate awareness and action through symposia, team building activities, cleanup, and tree planting drives. It also promotes a consensus of resilient bayanihan, or what we call collective action, during disasters, such as floods in her community. Hi, Ariane.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here.
And so are we. So our final speaker is Yoris. So Gregorios Joseph Laba, or Yoris, is a 22-year-old youth activist, filmmaker, and content creator from Lembata, Indonesia. He has been experienced in advocating for climate change, children's rights, and equality for girls with PLAN International Indonesia through a series of activities at local, national, and global levels. He is also part of the Global Feminist Coalition for Gender Transformative Education and their World Global Youth Ambassador. His documentary film, as a director, Hope, Strive from Climate Strike, won first place at the University of Toronto Sustainability Film Festival. This film highlights the impact of climate change and climate disasters on communities and education in Indonesia. His current project, Muro Welo Matang documentary film is now on the nomination of Best Documentary by Center for Transdisciplinary and Sustainability Sciences of IPB University. This film highlights the conservation of marine and island ecosystems through the traditions and customary laws of the local indigenous community in Limbata, East Nusa Tenggara, Timor Province. Welcome, Keenan.
Thank you, Nico.
Hi. Okay, so to start off, and I want our participants, we're going to make this an interactive session. So I want our participants to also leave their comments in the chat. So to start off, we're just going to, I can't promise it's a casual check-in, but it is, I guess, a very energizing check-in. So we want to know, when was the last time you felt bravest? Because we are inspired by the tagline of National Children's Day in Indonesia. So who wants to start off with that? Yoris, do you want to start? When was the last time you felt brave?
It's very long time I felt bravest. It's like, I think it's like when I was 15 years old, I convinced myself to speak in front of people, in front of many people, to be to tell the truth to everyone that I meet. And I think that is the first time I feel brave, because we live in a society with a lot of problems, but there are a few people who have the awareness to tell the truth to everyone that they meet.
Great answer. How about you, Keenan?
To be honest, I don't know when the last time I felt brave, but I know when was my first time. And that's when I was at my very first film festival. It was my very first film, and I had the opportunity to show it in front of, at the time, more than 200 or so people. And it was nerve-wracking. It's something that I had never done before, and I was afraid of critiques. I was afraid that they would judge me. But during the screening, I saw how they reacted to the film, how it was able to move them in a way, to affect them and to make them want to create change in not only themselves, but not only in their own mindset, but also in the environment around them. And that's when I felt the most empowered, the most brave, because I saw that film is one of the medias that we can use to create change.
Powerful answer, and yes, totally agree with that last statement. How about you, Ariane? When did you last feel the bravest?
The last time I felt bravest was when, after I experienced flood, and when I reached out to people, I went out of my comfort zone. So I'm not very sociable in a way, but it's just that after that experience, it drove me to this kind of that I need to act or do something to be able to help my community. I've seen how this affects my family. I've seen how this affects others as well. So even as young as I am, I went out of my comfort zone just so I could find a way to identify what is the problem, the root cause of the problem, and to be able to solve it. And in any way that I can. That's when I felt the bravest, I guess.
All amazing answers. So I hope we're also inspired to answer. Please leave it in the chat, or if anyone wants to unmute and raise their hand, please do so. You can answer in either English or Bahasa, or if Tagalog, I will try to translate it as well. So we'll just wait for some people to answer, hopefully. When was the last time you felt bravest? How about you, Ara, while we're waiting? Not to put you on the spot.
I was just typing, but actually it was not really like the bravest, but I felt brave enough that yesterday I tried spicy food. It was challenging. I couldn't actually take spicy food. But yesterday I was like, yes, let's do this. Let's take a little spicy food for today.
Great. Yeah. I mean, bravery comes in all different forms. So I would think that trying something out means stepping out of your comfort zone always entails some sort of bravery. So even if it's just to try something new like that, I would say is brave. So Ayas says, wait, let me scroll. Meeting new people and talking to them. I feel you, Ayas. Although I am the facilitator, I admit that I am an introvert and would rather stay behind the scenes. But I feel we have these three brave young people in front of us. So I am also brave to face strangers in this room because I want their stories to be heard as well. Yeah, for the Bahasa answers, maybe you can help me out here.
Mungkin Mas Rama Sayudia nih, boleh cerita nggak tentang pengalamannya merasa berani? Silakan Mas Rama. Bahasa Indonesia aja nggak apa-apa.
Kak Rama ini maksudnya diminta tolong buat ngomong, Kak. Ceritain aja pengalamannya kapan terakhir merasa berani gitu.
Oke, nggak bisa keluar ya suaranya, Kak Rama. Mungkin bisa coba lagi di unmute. Oke, sepertinya masih ada kendala. So it seems that we have a little bit of the trouble, but saya akan bacakan dari Mas Rama. Sepertinya tidak ada kata terakhir untuk berani. Kita harus selalu berani dalam segala hal positif. Dan sedikit perkenalan, saya adalah konselor anak di desa, dan di sana saya harus berani untuk menyuarakan hak-hak anak dan juga menyuarakan aspirasi tentang pencegahan pernikahan usia anak dan kekerasan terhadap anak dan perempuan. Keren banget nih, Kak Rama ya, konselor anak di desa.
That's a wonderful that's wonderful advice, right? Not to think of the last time, but always to think ahead. How about the other Bahasa answers? Would you mind translating some of them also before we continue?
Mari kita lihat ada apa lagi dalam dari Kak Amel nih. I felt brave when I voiced what I truly believed. Terus ada dari Iren, merasa berani ketika melewati kucing yang ada di kantor tadi pagi karena Iren fobia kucing.
Okay, sad to hear, Iran. But yes, brave of you to pass by. Okay, so you can keep sending in your answers there, and we'll be happy to read them. But as we go into this panel, we're gonna do another round of introduction. So I already read kind of your formal introductions, but I'm gonna give you the chance maybe to introduce yourself and the way that you want to be introduced also. And please tell us, like, what is the world that you envision for the future for everyone? So let's start with Ariane this time.
All right. Hi, my name is Ariane Isabel Rodrigo, pronouns she or her. I just recently graduated high school from Compostela National High School. Born and raised in the town of Compostela, province of Davao de Oro, which is located on the second biggest island of the Philippines, Mindanao. I advocate for proper solid waste management, particularly for waste segregation from source. In the future, I want to live in a world where humans and nature can coexist and where sustainability above all else will prosper. That even with the developments of technology and knowledge, humanity is still preserved and the environment is protected from exploitation and irreversible destruction. Thank you.
Wow. Wonderful, wonderful answer. How about you, Yoris?
Yeah, thank you, Nico. So hi, everyone. My name is Yoris. I'm a youth activist, filmmaker, and content creator, and part-time researcher, now become full-time researcher. And I'm from Lambata, the southernmost island. No, not the southernmost island. One of the island in East Nusa Tenggara province, Indonesia. And currently I am a final year student. I'm studying law school. And yeah, I think it's pretty same to Ariana. I imagine the future world to be more friendly and to be more friendly for us as Homo sapiens and also for other species and environments on our beloved planet Earth. Thank you, and back to you, Nico.
Nice, short and sweet, and encompasses a lot. Thank you, Yoris. And how about you, Kina?
Hi, everyone. My name is Kinan Tegar, and I come from the island of Borneo, Indonesia, which is the third largest island in the world, which used to consist of 80% of rainforests in 100 years ago. But now that number has gone down to less than 30%, which is a massive, massive reduction in such a short amount of time. And I saw firsthand how all of those happened growing up in an indigenous community right in the middle of all of that. And so that's why I make films. That's why I advocate for the rights of indigenous people, but also for our climate, also for the stopping of deforestation. And I think that ties into the point of the kind of world that I envision, a world where we're able to find balance between growth and our connection to Earth, and for that connection to never be lost. That's the kind of world that I want to live in.
Great. And so thanks for that, Keenan. And I mean, in line with that, I want us to go back to the title, right? Before we continue. So the National Children's Day theme is children become change makers when they raise their voice or when they stand up for their rights, right? But what does that word mean? I think it's membaharu in Bahasa Indonesia, and in English we say change maker. But for the three of you, maybe we have slightly different definitions. Maybe we have one thread that ties all of them together. So how would you define what a change maker is? We'll start with you, Keenan.
To me, a change maker is an idealist, that's for sure. Someone that sees that the world that we're living in, it's not perfect. There's many flaws within it, but also someone that sees that there is plenty of hope to go around, that it's not doomed for, that there's still so much that we can do. And to me, a change maker is someone that actually takes action towards that goal and towards a better world, not only for themselves, but also for the people around them, and someone who's able to create change in and around them. Yeah.
And Jorian, how about for you?
For me, a change maker is like a candle that burns with like passion for something, especially during the darkest times, and leads an initiative to consume itself or put in an effort to light other people's lives. In other words, like create a positive impact and change for the community. That is how I define a change maker.
Nice. I haven't heard that metaphor before. So thanks for bringing something new to us. And how about you, Yoris? How's a change maker for you?
Yeah, for me, change makers means two things for me. First is about to telling the truth, and the second is about to the innovator and the inspiration and the inventor. Because I think when we talk about change maker, we often talk about the inventor, like maybe like Nikola Tesla, or maybe like Einstein or Oppenheimer. They found general relativity. They found how to create the bomb, but that invention makes the world destroy the world. But I think when a human or a person become a change maker, the invention or the innovation that he or she makes can inspire another people and can solve the problem of the world, and also can influence the people's behavior to do something that can be more benefit for the better future of the society and also for the planet Earth. That's for me.
Nice. And it's so interesting to hear, how the three of you touched on, maybe different aspects, but there is a common thread to all that you said. All of you mentioned doing it for other people, right? So nobody said just doing it for one's own glory or one's own fame. All of you mentioned some kind of impact to a community outside of oneself. And all of you kind of also touched on sort of an inspiration, right? Whether it's idealism, light, or inspiration. All of you mentioned it in some one way or another. So wonderful. I mean, so I think that's a great way to think about it moving forward, because we will be mentioning change maker and change making a lot, right? So it's nice to know, like, what do the three of you think when you say change maker, right? So with that, yeah, let's get to know the three of you a bit more, right? So I want each of you to kind of walk us through, like, how your community is. Paint us a picture, like, what would you say your community is currently, and what are the biggest challenges that you see, especially for young people, right? Because we are talking about National Children's Day and International Youth Day. What are the main problems that you see? So yeah, walk us through, like, where you live and the community, and yeah, what are the biggest problems you see for young people? Yoris, can you start us off?
Okay, thank you, Nico. So I want to begin by sharing my experience in my community. So the first time I became a change maker, or like my journey of activism in my local community, is when I was 15 years old. I was in senior high school, and I joined the PLAN International campaign called Because I'm a Girl. Basically, it's a campaign to promote children's and girls' right to access quality education, and basically to fulfill their basic rights. It is to celebrate the International Day of Girl in 16 October 2016. And that's the first time I be able to speak to many people, including the policymakers. We are creating meetings, simulate the meetings, and with the decision makers about how to make the world, specifically in our community and in our province, to do the policy that care about children's and girls' rights. And after that events, I became more active on youth and children's community. So I joined the Youth Advisory Panel, basically a panel of young people between 14 to 24 years old. And we are involved on PLAN International decision making to give inputs and from our perspective as children and as young people. So the decision maker can decide which one is the best policy for children with the children's perspective. And I also joined another youth community, Youth Coalition on Girls Education, and then I go to a college. I also joined the OSIS, basically an organization in school, in senior high school. And with my experiencing on different organization, and I got a lot of knowledge and value, because when you come to an organization or a global organization, you get the global value that really inspired, but also you can share your local value, basically the knowledge that you get from parents or from our ancestors. So when I moved to Jakarta to studying in law, I joined several organizations, and also the youth community which are provided by PLAN International and partners. So I joined the Global Youth Panel for Education in Emergencies, and we are advocating for fulfilling the children's and girls' right to access quality education in times of emergency situation, like COVID-19 and like natural disaster and another types of social disaster, and also about the disaster that caused by climate change. So I'm grateful because I was participate in two international high-level meeting, which is the United Nations Transforming Education Summit in New York and the Education Cannot Wait high-level financing conference in Geneva. So basically, these two conferences are the pivotal moment of education in emergencies and protected crisis issues. So we brings the challenge and opportunity that we face as Indonesian youth activists for working in local and national levels to the global levels, but also we got the mandate to how to bring the global issues and the global perspective into the local community. So after going back from the conference and several international activities and also national activities with our partner in Indonesia, with PLAN International and partners, I initiate some events in grassroots community in Lembata, in my island. And we are running several projects, but two of the big projects that we run in our community is to make campaign and advocacy on climate change, on some issues related to climate change and education in emergencies. So we create two documentary. Right now, there are two documentary films that we produce just in 2023. So we just started in February. We make a Hope Strike from Climate Strike documentary film, which is covered the issues of climate change impact on education and on community. So basically in 2021, in April 2021, my island and in East Nusa Tenggara province, there is a cyclone that hit our province, which is the Sroja cyclone, and it caused floods and landslides and forced displacement. And currently, children in some village in my island are studying in emergency buildings, in makeshift buildings, and they access lack of access of education. And we create that documentary, and with our partners in several universities, we distribute the film, and we also deliver the film to the University of Toronto Sustainability Film Festival, and that film won the first place in that festival. There are a lot of films, incredible films from a lot of countries, but we're grateful that we won the first place. And after that, with our community here in Indonesia, specifically in my community in Lambata Island, with our friends, journalists, our partners from journalists and educators, and our partners from PEKA also, from PEKA. Ibu Nani is a founder PEKA, founder of PEKA organization, which is our partner at Sekber, Sekretariat Bersama, the joint secretariat of national non-governmental organization in Lembata. So we are working to campaign and to advocate about how perempuan kepala keluarga's experience when they face a disaster problem, or when they face a disaster by natural hazard or disaster by climate change in some of the villages that are facing the cyclone that we are capturing on the film. So we are distributing the film to the local community in the villages, and we are watching the film and we are discussing the film. And we also invited the governments and several directors of the NGO, and we were talking about what is the issues and what is the solution that the NGO and the governments provide for the beneficiaries or for the community. That the things that I think also as Kinan mentioned before about how can we bring the film as a medium to advocate the issues from local community, and also how the film can influence the decision makers to do certain things that is benefit for the local community. So
Yeah,
I think
perhaps you can
that's
also
all for me. Yeah,
mention that later. But
sorry for the long
it's okay, yours.
description.
So what I'm hearing is, let me know if I got it right. Lembata faces a lot of natural disasters, right? So that also spurred you to think about the environment, and at the same time, because of that, it also displaces youth, so that their education is also kind of affected. Okay, yeah, great. So yeah, thanks for telling us a bit more about that. How about you, Ariane? I know you're from Compostela Valley, right? I think most people know about Manila and all the bigger cities, right? And even the development is very unequal in the Philippines. So can you tell us more about your community, and what were those big issues that you were seeing also?
It's very similar to him. We are often struck with natural and man-made disasters such as earthquakes and landslides because we're surrounded by mountains or hills and frequent flooding. As such, it affects our day-to-day function, especially our education too, since classes are dismissed for our safety and health. This incapacitates us since the money meant for our education is redirected to the replenishment of our losses caused by disasters. And Compostela is a very remote, it's not a very, but it's a remote agriculture community. And I came from a family of farmers, and really one of our biggest problems is flooding. So I started asking questions about the causes and what I can do to help my family and all the people who are affected. I guess that's the background of my hometown.
Thank you, Ariane. And Kinan, you did mention a lot about, dealing with indigenous communities. How is it for you and your community, and what were the issues that you were seeing?
So I guess I should paint a picture of what my community is like. So we're situated in the very middle of the island of Borneo, with more than 9,000 hectares of pure forests that we have protected for countless years. And that was only possible because of our elders, who to this day still practice their culture the same way that their elders, their ancestors did, and who still live in a traditional house called a longhouse, a 200-meter long structure where everyone there is a unified community. Everyone is family, everyone works together towards the same ends. And that is why, to this day, we are still able to protect our forests from all of the outside interests, of which there is so many. In Borneo alone, palm oil is the biggest contributor to deforestation, coal mining, gold mining, and just logging in general. And that is something that has affected so many communities, indigenous communities throughout Borneo, and something that I saw firsthand, which is what led me to start my initiative, that drive to do something about this massive problem. Yeah.
Yes. And Borneo, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, is super biodiverse, right? And it sits,
Exactly.
yeah, and it sits like very near the Philippines as well. Very near Malaysia also. I think it's shared all actually by the three countries. So yeah. And we know how the demand really for products comes from these natural resources as well. Okay, so yeah, we heard a bit more about your issues. So what we want to know now, right, is we don't want to stay desperate and helpless. So we want to know how you three, as young people, stepped up and really saw, okay, this is happening around me. But many people would say, okay, it's not my problem, or I'm too young. Like, let the government handle it, or let the adults handle it, right? But what is it that sparked you really as a young person to do something about what you were seeing? And I'm sure this is also in line with the theme of being brave, right? Because people will tell you that you're just a kid or you can't really do a lot. So, but what was that spark? What is it that made you say, hey, I'm going to do something about it? How about you, Ariane? Let's start with you.
What really sparked that moment was when I heard my parents would often complain about the costs it took for us to be able to replenish the losses that we have, especially during flooding in our rice fields. So that moment, and when I also saw how many wakes were floating around during the flooding and the clogged drainage systems, that made me see how that moment that we were actually, the humans are the ones who are affecting our environment, and that is a man-made disaster, and we should do something about it. And that, I guess, that's the sparking moment that for me.
Yeah, I would think that parents and family are very powerful motivators. How about you, Keenan?
I think, to me, change making is an incredibly hard thing to do. Not to discourage anyone here, but it is difficult. It requires a lot of willpower. It requires a lot of time, effort, and it requires us to go out of our comfort zone, because you will be doing something that you've never done before. Maybe it's speaking in front of a countless amount of people. Maybe it's protesting in front of the nation's gate or something like that. But because of that, you need to know why you're doing it, and the motivation to do so often comes from a very personal reason. Like for Ariane, it's because of how her family has been so heavily affected by these flooding and these natural disasters. And to me, it's the same, how I've seen communities struggle due to deforestation. They don't longer have their forests. They no longer have a source of life. And those personal issues and those people who I know personally are the reason that I do what I do, or the reason that I push through my introvertedness and try to reach people about these kinds of messages, because I truly believe that it's important. Because if it's not us doing it, then who? And if we don't start now, then when?
Right. You bring up a great point about, I'm sure everyone here, even if you're well off by some chance, you know someone who is affected by an issue, right? And so that is a powerful motivator as well. How about you, Yoris? You mentioned that you were 15 when you first joined a PLAN International event, and that's when you first spoke in front of people. So what was the push that made you join that event?
Yeah, I think it started because me as personally have a curiosity to learn something new, and something that it's really a privilege for me, because there is an international organization that run on my island. It is something that it's privilege for me, because I can get the knowledge and the value as like global value and global issues rather than I mean, compared to some people or some children or young people that live in remote area. So basically, I live in remote area in yeah, like more than 50 kilometers from the capital city of my regency. But it's a privilege because I can get the access and the opportunity. So for me, the things is if we talk about opportunity for young people and also how the challenges can distribute to our decision, I think when the governments or the organization or the community or even the older people, if we compare, if we opposite the young people and the older people, when the older people give the opportunity for the young people, I think that is the milestone for the young people to get the estafette of the development, human development, or like environmental development.
Yeah, that's a great insight. As a young person, it's very powerful if an adult opens up an opportunity where you'll be heard as well. So I think the adults here in this room, I think that's also like an important lesson that we can take with us also. Okay, so let's go more into like the details of your solutions and initiatives. So you're all here because you had a spark to do something, and now we want to hear maybe more in detail what you're doing. So please introduce to us your initiative. Just tell us a background about it, what you're doing now, and what have you seen as the impact of your initiative so far. Maybe we can start with Ariane, and Irene or Ara, can you help me by sharing her slides also?
Yeah, so I think we can proceed with can you please next? Next, please. Yeah, next. Okay, so that's a video. My solution is all about developing a mobile application called I Am Gina that is capable of using AI or artificial intelligence to classify wastes into 4 classifications, mainly biodegradable, residual, special, and recyclable. Through this initiative, I want to assist in the waste recovery system of our environmental office and educate the youth or everyone about the proper waste segregation. In order to tackle the challenges I face, such as like the lack of financial aspects, I joined multiple contests, both local and national levels, to present my solution, earn money to develop my project, and at the same time, be able to share it with them in the hopes of broadening my app's impact by adding more people to the cause. Right now, we are very proud because we were able to publish it on Google Play Store so every individual with Android phones can access it. I found that students are becoming more interested about the environment and protecting it. That's the change that I've seen for my initiative. Someone came up to me and said, mentioned that the app enlightened her that if AI can classify waste, so should she. And according to her, she was challenged to be smarter than AI and learn about each waste classification, as well as look up about the issues concerning climate change and geological activities or processes that affect our day-to-day life. That for me, that was very inspiring because that also made me think that we shouldn't be too dependent on technology to solve the problems we ourselves created. Instead, it is our shared responsibility to act now and change our actions or behavior toward Mother Earth. That's it.
Thank you so much, Ariane. And I believe you also, from our conversation, right, you also bring, different science and municipal fairs and initiatives as well, right? Besides the app.
Yes, during junior high school, I did that. So I joined in organizing different municipal science activities. We worked on like tree planting activities and also inviting speakers from our DRR, the Disaster Risk Reduction Office, so that they can be able to speak to students and teach them about how to protect themselves during disasters and many more.
Great. Thank you, Ariane. And how about you, yours? Let us know about your initiatives.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's quite the same with Ariana's stories about the disaster risk management, disaster risks reduce. I joined the PLAN International's initiative on Global Youth Panel for Education in Emergencies since last year, 2020. And we are campaigning and advocating about how to fulfilling the children's and young people's right to access quality education during emergency situation. So we are conducting some research. Basically, youth are initiative to conducting some research that are provided by the governments and NGOs reports, and we doing the research to look at the conclusion about what is the key problems and the solution that are running in our country, basically like policy and strategy that are running in our country. And after that, research, we published the research, and we're discussing the research with our partners, several international NGOs and governments in Ministry of Education, Research and Technology. And after that, we also voicing about the issues in local and national levels to the global levels in some of the high-level meeting that I mentioned before. And after that, in local community, we also work with young people here to how to delivering the message, not in the paper-based policy, but in the media that is friendly for young people. We use the social media, we use the webinar to disseminate the research and disseminate the film. And we also conducting screening film, nonton bareng with the local people to bringing the gap between the policy that are running by the governments and NGOs and the beneficiary or the community. So we are, as I mentioned before, about the film that we made, Hope Strive from Climate Strike, and just 1 month ago, we just released our new documentary. It's about, I think it's pretty similar with Kenan's work with Dayak indigenous people. So we work with the indigenous people here in Lembata Island, which are they are with their customary law, how to preserve the nature, basically the marine ecosystem, underwater ecosystem, and mangrove ecosystem with customary law, and how can they preserve the nature and the nature give them sustainably. And then we are collaborating with some grassroots organization here that are working with us in maybe some of you are pretty familiar, Koalisi Kopi, which is it's cover a coalition that cover the grassroots communities in national levels that are advocating about the environmental action and about the climate change.
Nice. And so since you mentioned Kenan, Kenan, how about you?
So my organization is all about making films of the culture of our people, the indigenous people here in Borneo, the Dayaks. And it's very similar to what Yoris mentioned. So much of the culture of indigenous people is the same as the best practices in managing our environment, their forest management systems, and all of these local knowledge are so important to preserve if we want to live in a sustainable world, because we have so much to learn from the indigenous peoples. that's one of the key points in my film. Another key point is the threats that are faced by us as indigenous peoples and local communities here in Borneo, but also throughout Indonesia and throughout the world. And that is the same threat that has been happening since the Industrial Revolution: resource extraction at a massive level, the lack of equality within the society, a world which revolves so much around money and such. And that is the kind of issues that we are facing as a community. And so one of the things that we have been doing is creating these films and targeting audiences who are able to create change, who are able to enact those changes, policymakers, thinkers, academia, and such. People who are able to influence what the shape of the world is like, because truthfully, if we want to create the change that I envision, it will require a massive change in our paradigm, in our way of thinking. And I feel that we have so much to learn from indigenous peoples in that regard. But there's a very limited amount of things that we can do on a local level. So we go to the national level, to the national governments, and through that we have had some successes. The biggest one of which is probably in 2020, which was when our community received the full rights to our forests, to our more than 9,000 hectares of forests, and we are now legally the owners and are the owners of it, and we are able to manage it according to our traditions, through our customs. And this is my hope for the rest of the indigenous communities in Indonesia to receive its rights. And so to that end, we have also been advocating internationally through international frameworks such as the United Nations, the General Assembly, the COP28, New York Climate Week, and such. We have gone to those places, we have screened these films, and we have voiced our issues, we have voiced our concerns, and we have demanded of the international community to realize the role of indigenous people, the importance of preserving our knowledge and our territory and our forests, and how much we as citizens of the world need that. Thank you.
Thank you. So first of all, congrats to all three of you for doing such amazing work, and for sharing like the impact so far of what has been done. So I will hope that it gets scaled, and this can also help bring more amplification to your initiatives, and more people would be interested in supporting you as well. Okay, so I wanted to open the floor to the questions of the audience, if there were any. Please raise your hand and I can call you, or you can leave it in the chat if you don't want to, if you're shy to open your mic. But please, we have the three inspiring young change makers in front of you. Let's take the opportunity, to learn from them as well. So please, send in your questions. And while we're waiting for that, I did have one other question. What have you found to be, or who have you found to be your greatest allies so far? So what I mean is, who are the people who have helped you the most? Because there are so many challenges that you're facing, right? But you're able to deliver your solution. So could you tell me more about who are those great allies of yours? How about you, yours? Let's start with you.
Yeah, I think the great allies for me is local grassroots community, because when you're running an organization or you're running a community, there are a lot of challenges that you will be faced in your community. So I think the support that we got from our member of the youth grassroots community is the biggest research to run the community, because we don't talk about how to produce something or how to like our innovation to make something, like maybe about the documentary film or about paper policy or about the initiative policy that we are offering to the governments or to the leaders, but also how can we keep that initiative to be sustainable. I think that is the key things, because when we are going to be more maybe I can go to different place, maybe I can work in some other place and leaving my island or leaving my community, but how can I give the legacy or take some friends or some members of the organization to run the community to be continue producing such good things to influence more people and to influence also specifically for children and young people. So I think the grassroots communities and the young people are the key partner or the key allies that we are working together, but also with support from several allies like NGOs and also the governments that are really care about our works in specific area, specifically in Lembata, East Nusa Tenggara Province, Indonesia.
Nice. And how about you, Keenan? Who's been your greatest ally?
I think my biggest ally, it would be the same as yours. It would be the community members all around me. They are the ones who have been here from the start. They are the entire reason that we as an organization do what we do. It is ultimately from the community for the community, and it wouldn't be possible without them. And so besides that, though, there have been so many people who are massive inspirations to do kinds of work that we all do here as change makers, and I truly look up to them. And there have been so many cases in which they have helped guided me through issues that we're facing as a community. And yeah, it wouldn't be possible without the support of everyone.
Very true, very true. And you, Ariane, who's been your greatest ally? Oh, I think you froze. Okay. Maybe we should just wait for Ariane to reconnect. While we're doing that, does anyone else have any questions? Yes, I believe the questions are in Bahasa, so Iren, can you help?
Oh ya, maybe mungkin Putri mau on cam terus tanya langsung, nggak apa-apa Putri. Mana nih Putri? Putri mau nyalain kamera gak? Oke, kalau enggak aku bacain. Halo, aku mau nanya dong, gimana cara kalian bisa memulai semua ini? Okay, that's a very good question. So Putri asked, how do you all start this from the first place? That's a very good question.
Can you repeat that, Iren? What is the question? How do they start?
How do you all start this in the first place?
Okay, I see. Fair question. Anyone want to weigh in?
I think the key to starting is to just start, just do it, because it all starts from us, from ourselves, from inside of us. It starts from an idea, an inspiration. I want to do this to make this better, and there's so much that I want to do. And it oftentimes we find ourselves just confused on how do we start and what can we do. that we forgot to actually act. So I think the key is to just start doing what you want to do, and then be consistent with it. And eventually you will find people who are supportive of your cause, who wants to do the same thing that you do, who cares about the same things. And these are the people that will support you, who will be with you. And this is how you start to expand what your organization or your community. And I think that's my answer.
Start by starting. Yes. It's hard, but yes, it makes sense, right? You have to start. How about you, Yaris? What would you say?
Yeah, I do agree with Kenan. Just start, but also about to. I think we have a lot of research and opportunity and privilege to do something in our life, but also, in the other hand, we also had something like we also find the reason that we cannot do something in our life. It's like I will be illustrate and not illustrate. I wanna describe this this claim from me. By my experience, when I was 15 years old, I don't have any capability to speak in front of people. Like I'm very like feeling inferior, and also like introvert, and I don't have any chance to talk with people. But it changed when I was 15 years old. I just mentioned before, when I had an opportunity to participate in the event, and I keep convincing myself that I can do that. And after that, just learning by process and learning by doing, it can make give you more experience to do more in the future. And also in specific case, when I was like 18 to 90 years old, maybe I start late compared to Kenan. When I was the first time I just learned about filmmaking, like I only use by the smartphone and how to get the good composition, or like learn about shutter speed and etc. But I also find the reason about to not to do something, like I think I don't have any reasons like good quality camera, or like I don't have any friends to collaborate with me. Just like try to find a lot of reason that can stop your work. It doesn't work for you and it doesn't support you. But despite to do that, think about the research, or the resource or the another research that can support. We can collaborate with another people. We can collaborate and work with different organization and different community to build the strong movement together. Maybe about to making documentary film, or maybe about to voicing the young people's voices. It's depend to us, and stop looking for the reason, but just do it.
Great. Learning by doing, it seems to be the phrase that we are hearing. How about Ria? Do you mind reading out your question? We do have interpreters, so it's fine. Just say it in Indonesian. If not,
Kalau Karya mau on cam dan tanya langsung nggak? Atau open mic juga boleh. Mungkin bisa dicoba. Udah unmute kayaknya Karya ya. Pakai bahasa Indonesia aja.
Selamat malam, kedengaran nggak suaraku?
Oke, sekarang udah kedengaran.
Oke. Aku ngomongnya pakai bahasa Indonesia aja ya.
Yap.
Dari tadi aku dengerin, aku tuh penasaran banget gimana sih teman-teman ini kan pasti pernah tuh ngerasain kehilangan semangat, terus kehilangan motivasi, Aku pengen nanyain gimana sih cara kalian menghadapi keraguan atau tantangan yang pastinya selalu ada di setiap proses yang kalian lalui, dan juga menghadapi perasaan-perasaan yang mungkin jengah atau bosan sama proses-proses yang kalian lalui. Itu aja sih pertanyaan aku. Terima kasih. Selamat malam semuanya.
Terima kasih, Karya.
Maybe we can start with Ariane because we lost you a while ago. Were you able to hear the English translation?
Yes, I was able to hear it. I'm so sorry. I don't know if it's my laptop or my internet's not working, but now it's working, and I apologize, but I'm here. Nonetheless, thank you so much. I would say when I felt that I'm not really motivated, what I usually do is that I write on a piece of paper the things that, why am I doing this? Like the purpose of why I'm doing this initiative or this project in the first place. So I write down a list, and then when I felt discouraged, I would just read them again and remind them that, oh, this is because of these following reasons. That's why I wanted to create this change in my community. That's my answer.
Practical tip, right? To envision it physically. Awesome. How about you, Keenan?
I think that's a very personal question, and for everyone here, probably we've all had our moments of doubt, and it's hard, but it's inevitable. It's definitely been a long journey. Maybe I'll tell a little bit about myself. So I used to go to a formal primary school until I was 12, and then afterwards I decided to be homeschooled, and that's also the moment that I started making films. My rationality was back then was, oh, school's boring. I want to make films. That's what I want to do. So it's not advisable at all, but that's what I did. And so I've just been making films since then, since I was 13, 14, 15, and the films went on to so many film festivals and such, and it has definitely impacted some people, I hope. But when you've been doing something for that long, and especially at such a young age as I was, it's bound to catch up to you. It's going to be tiresome at some point. And that's what happened. Like around when I was 16, maybe, I experienced a burnout. Like for 6 months straight, I didn't open my emails. I didn't touch my camera. I didn't touch my computer. And that was quite a hard moment for me in my life. But eventually, how I got through it was that, similar to what Ariane said, I reminded myself of why I was making these films, of why I was doing what I was doing. And so many people in the community, my friends, my family, they believe in me. They supported me even through those hardest times. So I think that's also important to recognize that there are so many people who are supportive of what you do, who wants to see you succeed as much as you want to see yourself succeed. And they will always be there for you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Keenan, for being so vulnerable with us. We appreciate it, for sharing your story. And I believe that resonates really with anyone at any age. So thank you for sharing that. How about you, Yoris? How do you deal with doubts?
Yeah, so I think the key question from Putri is about how to manage the kind of situation that give us like boring situation. So for me, it's about alternative activities. Try to find something that it's really new and it can change our behaviors and activities. So we have another alternative activities that can support our main activities or can not replace but can support our activities, and it can be balancing our works and how to balance the works and life, because when we live in nowadays where we had a lot of barriers on community, we are interconnected with global global network, and we also had a lot of purposes to do in our life. But when we try to learn something, like my story before, I was trying to learn and to understand about how to make film and how to be a content creator. But also, as Kenan's story before, we also burn out in some point. We often burn out at some point when we don't want to do our job or our passion, specifically about filmmaking or creative content, because it's like monotonously, and it's quite boring for us because we have to do that in so many times. But I think try to find a solution. How can we find something that it's like the innovation that we make to do our activities more engaged and more fun for us.
Thank you, Yaris. That kind of balance, right, of life and work or passion. Rama, I saw that you raised your hand, but let me know if that was a mistake or if you really wanted to ask something. Please do so now. If not, we can go to I think we haven't answered Ayas's question.
So Ayas's question is, for everyone, how do you persuade others to support your community? And I think I would like to add a little bit to that question. So I don't think every young person is like you. Not every young person cares about what they see and wants to solve the problems that they see. Some young people are only like, oh, when I see a problem, then I don't care. I will just care for myself. So not only persuading people to support your community, but also how do you persuade people to join your community as well, and also be their own version of young change makers?
Anybody want to weigh in?
Sure, I guess how to persuade other people to join or to support what you're doing. I think so much of it comes down to the purpose. Why do you want to do this? For example, why do you want to clean up the trash in your neighborhood? And there's many answers to that. And what's important is for us to be able to internalize the same reasons within other people, for us to be able to tell them why are we so moved to do what we are doing, so that they'll be able to understand and to that and empathize with us and support us, and to do their part in also doing what they can, and for them to also become change makers in their own right. And this is the kinds of process that needs to happen on such a large but also small scale at the same time. It happens from people to people, and the hope is for that kind of movement to build up towards to become something big, to become something that is able to create change at a significant level. That's the dream that we all have.
I can go next. For me, I would say try to evoke the empathy. I would just like share this kind of experience of mine. When I was still trying to collect waste photos to train my AI model, I felt hopeless because I thought no one was interested with my idea. But you know, you never know. I tried to message people to join me and help me. I just tried to reach out. And I was just shocked because many people volunteered during our Brigada Escola. That's a preparation program before school starts. It was a cleanup drive, and like parents, friends, students, and teachers, they all helped me sort and take photos of waste. During that moment, I realized how powerful empathy can be to steer others to action. It's because we all share the same experience of flooding. That's why we all share also a collective goal of solving it. That also made me realize that I'm never alone, no matter what happens. And they are the reason why I want to build a greener future. And because of these people, that I am constantly inspired to be a change maker. That's my answer.
Okay, yeah. For me, yeah, my way, how to persuade people, I try to offer the benefit for the people who want to join our movement or join our community. I often offer three things for the people who want to join. The first is knowledge, and the second is experience, and third is networking. So yeah, like don't offering people about money or something that it's really instant for them. I think knowledge, experience, and network it's the three key things to persuade people to join something or to work with you, or also to collaborate together and to achieve the same purpose that you are fighting for. So yeah, when we offering them about knowledge, about experience, and about network, we value them as research, not only as object or object that we can use them for our own benefit, but we give them benefit also, and we try to do the same direction to achieve the same purpose that we are fighting for.
Wonderful answers from everyone. So time flies. I realized we're a bit over time, so we have to wrap this up. But thank you. I feel like we all learned so much from all three of you, and that's the reason why we're also going into overtime. But before we leave, Keenan, Ariane, and Yoris, two things as a final, before we leave. It's first is what's your final phrase or final sentence to inspire any young person out here who is maybe scared but wants to be a change maker? And then second, where can we find you online, or what can we expect from you, or how do we find your work also? So who wants to start? How about we do reverse? Yoris, how about you start?
Okay. So yeah, for me, I think from this session, we got I highlight two points. One from Keenan and the other from Arwin. Yeah, from Arwin, yeah, we got the passion of young people to do in local community when we get the problem in our community, and we try to find the best solution to solve the problem in local community. But also we're trying to get the treatment from Keenan as filmmaker. Yeah, how to creating impact on our community. Yeah, try to use a creative way by Keenan with his filmmaking journey. We can engage people to do more engaging and more participating in our movement, because we try to collaborate the creative things to our movement or to achieve our goals. That's from me.
And how do we find you online, or your initiative?
Oh yeah, you can try to find our community, which is Lingkar Timur Dokumente on Instagram, or my Instagram at yorisbutun. And also in our national community, it's called Youth for Education in Emergencies Global Youth Panel, Youth for EIE Indonesia, and Youth for EIE Global.
Okay, and no worries, we will be sending all the participants the details as well. How about you, Keenan? Any last words for inspiration, and how can we find you online?
For me, the biggest takeaway to this, I think one word to summarize it would be meaning. We all need meaning in our life, and so much of us try to find that through the kind of changes that we want to make. That has become our meaning, our why, and that is what drives us, and hopefully will drive all of you to become change makers in your own right. And yeah, so you can find me online on Instagram at Kinantegar, but hopefully later this year you'll be able to see my film on Netflix. So yeah, looking forward to that.
We're so excited for that.
Yeah.
Do let us know when it's out. And you, Ariane, how about you?
All right. For me, I would say if you see a problem, try to immerse yourself in it and think of a way of how you can be able to help or just solve it, and just try it out. I know it can be daunting, but at the same time, just go, and you will encounter many challenges. You will make a lot of mistakes, but that's just the part of your learning process in order to become a real change maker. I guess this also goes to everyone, especially if you're listening, and in order for us to empower us students or the children similar to me to rise above the adversities and to be able to utilize our talents and skills, we also need access. Okay, by giving us more resources that we can work with, like pool of opportunities we can choose from, a quality education that we deserve, or tools that will equip us, especially for this digital world, that would actually transform the lives of me and many children and drive us all to become change makers. That's my final words. And I guess you can find my work. You can search it on Google Play Store. I am Gina. You can also search for using Facebook. We also have a Facebook page. I am Gina. And through email, my email is arianrodrigo@gmail.com.
Nice. And before we really end, Iren, let's take a picture.
Yes. Teman-teman boleh nyalain kamera ya. So guys, you can turn on your camera and we can take a picture together. Wait a second. Okay.
Makasih.
I will count. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more time, guys. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you, Nico.
Makasih, Ren. Okay, Keenan, Ariane, yours, thank you so much for sharing your young but very deep wisdom with all of us here. We wish you all the best, and we're all rooting for you to succeed, because when you succeed, everyone succeeds also. Yes, thank you so much. And then also for everyone here, please make sure to follow PLAN International Indonesia and Ashoka Indonesia and Ashoka Philippines. If you want to, learn more about events like this, or if you want to be more inspired about how to be a change maker as well. So, and to everyone here, remember, especially the young people, remember you're not just the leaders of tomorrow, you're also the change makers that we need today. So good night, and we'll see you online or offline.
Thanks everyone. Terima
Thank you,
kasih.
everyone.
Bye. Thanks everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Conversation, Nico.